Welcome. It's your boy Wiggles.
It's your boy Kev, aka The Entertainer.
Yo, it's your boy Marcus Antonio at The Sniper on Instagram. And we want to know what's your perspective. So today we're going to kick this thing off, right? I mean, the most important thing that we need to talk at this first pilot of a program is the black male perspective. Like who is the black male? A lot of you tuned into the post on Facebook this week. Well, Wiggles asked, what's your perspective on the black male? And we got a lot of good stuff in that group. Talk to me, Wiggles.
All right, man. So yeah, let's first start with the origin of the show. Anybody who's been watching nighttime television when it comes to shows, dominated by women in the daytime and white men in the evening time. And I'm like, man, out of all of these platforms, all of these TV shows, man, the black male is only a guest on shows. You know, only a guest on shows. Man, we need to be that platform, that happy platform. So it can be represented and not just in entertainment where we're a sport icon or we're not a comedian, we're not a singer, we're not a performer, none of those things like that, man. But we really want to have a serious conversation about what's happening in the world today and where we stand and our voice. Black men need a voice. Black men need a voice, and this is what that is, man. I want to be able to get not only my perspective, but from every black male. And so, y'all know it started about 3 years ago. 3 years ago,
about 3 years ago, yeah.
Want to do the perspective and who want to take part in it. Started out maybe about 7 or 8 of us, and now we're down to 3. But now we got the black male perspective group, and
yes, sir.
Getting crazy feedback on that. And so that's me, man. Born and raised Hinesville, Georgia. 35 years old, married, 3 kids. My oldest daughter is graduating from high school this year. The next in line is a junior in high school. She'll be a senior next year, and my boy, he'll be going to high school next year. I'm an educator currently, education. K through 5. Right now I'm doing 4th and 5th grade. I'm a DJ as well, minister as well, and that's me, man. So, Kev, you next. What you got for us, man?
All right, y'all. So listen, it's your boy Kev, a.k.a. the party starter and the entertainer, okay? I'm internationally known to rock all y'all microphones, all right? So originally from Dayton, Ohio, born and raised Dayton, Ohio. Shout out to the Gym City 937 for life. I attended Kentucky State University in Frankfort, Kentucky. Shouts out to the HBCU graduates in the room. I work in higher education. I've been in higher ed for 12 years now. I've worked at 3 HBCUs. This is my first PR. I'm currently in the cornfields of Nebraska, okay? And yes, before you ask me, there are black people in Nebraska, okay?
What?
But there are black people in Nebraska. I'm an entertainer at heart. I love people. I love to have a good time. I love to laugh. I'm also a minister, and so I kind of get that kind of perspective. But I'm also a person who believes in giving the benefit of the doubt. Oftentimes we see these men, these people who at their first strike, it's over, it's done with. And I believe in kind of giving people the benefit of the doubt. I'm a karaoke assassin, okay? I'm an international traveler. And I just like to have a good time. Listen, my life goal is to put smiles on the faces of people, right? So people are burdened down, they're distraught. But my goal is to make sure that when you leave my presence, you leave with an uplifted heart and a different perspective.
That's what's up. Well, I'm Marcus Antonio, last name Gun, like a pistol. They call me Sniper. So you can catch me at the Sniper on Instagram. 34 years old. I come from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm in higher education. I specifically work for our state board in Washington. So my job is basically making sure the programs like high school, recovery, GED, ESL folks get their seat at the table. So about this perspective, man, it's important that we all give our perspective, and mine is going to be a little bit different because while I'm married, I identify as pansexual. So we'll talk about all those different types of labels that I give myself a little later, but it's important to let you all know that I am married. I'm married to a male in this pansexual relationship. I'm broadcasting out of Tacoma, Washington, from the historical Black College, Albany State University, the unsinkable, with your boy Wiggles.
Let's go.
All right. So all of us,
SIAC in the building, okay.
All of us are excited to be with y'all today. And as we continue to do this, we want to know what's your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, man. So look, the question, man, that I got for everybody: who is the black male in the home? Who is the black male at work? Who is the black male in the community? Who is the black male when we see black males, when you hear black male, what is your first thought? And that's what I'm gonna put out. I'm gonna let you guys go, and then I'm gonna come in after that. Who is the black
Me,
male?
the definition of resilience, right? I mean, from slavery to Jim Crow to segregation to civil rights, the black man, he always seems to rebound, right? He's always going to come back and be stronger than what he was. And that's what I enjoy, I think, the most about being a black man. Even though I'm feared for being a black man, the intelligence, the intellect, the humor, the love I have for my family and my community, I'm always going to find a way to bounce back. And to me, the black man is resilient even in the face of adversity. You know, from the beginning of time, the black man has always been the one to be feared, like, oh, be scared of him, be afraid of him, when really the black man is in a position to be a blessing, but also to be a covering for those around him, right? Black men are always taught to uplift and to uphold the principles in their community and their families and their, you know, their fraternities and their ministry, whatever the case may be. But the black man, to me, is resilient, right? In the face of all this, you know, that could have killed him, he's resilient. That's the black man to me.
I'm gonna take a different perspective when I think of the black man. I'm gonna think of the black man of today. I go around and I talk about this thing, post-traumatic slave syndrome, and I talk about how we as black folk are, um, we take on all this baggage from our ancestors and our parents and their parents. So for me, when I think of the black male today, the first thing I think of is that he is an influencer, because it don't matter what a black man do, is always on spotlight, whether it's bad and even when it's good, especially when it's highlighting white um main society. You definitely get a highlight of black men. We talking sports, we talking entertainment. So I'm going to throw out there that the black male is an influencer. In the black household, usually the males are more dominant and they are the alphas in that household. So when I say influencer, there are people that are going to listen to the black male whenever his voice quakes. You get what I'm saying? So that's what I say when I say influencer. But then in the same token, when I think about dudes today, man, a lot of black men are damaged. You know what I mean? It has a lot to do with our upbringing. It has a lot to do with the school system itself. It has a lot to do with the communities that we grew up in. You know what I mean? So I also look at black men being damaged and in a lot of ways lacking self-esteem. So I mean, that's my take on it. What you got?
Man, when I'm thinking of the black male is the foundation.
Mm.
When we think of the history of the country, black male is the foundation. When we think of family, the black male is the foundation. When we think of creativity, when we think of art, black male is the foundation. And when you think about where you want to go and what you want to do, and when you're looking at that inspiration, most times kids they're looking at their fathers, man. And even in the family, man, when you think of the kid who comes up in a home where the father is absent, and they have these issues, they're having these issues because they need a foundation. They're looking for that identity. The black male is identity, foundation and identity, man. And we have to be certain about who we are. We have to be firm in who we are. We got to stand on it. We got to walk tall, regardless of what we like, regardless of what we do, where we work, and how we were brought up. We got to understand, man, that everything begins and ends with us.
Mm-hmm.
Everything comes from us. And that's our perspective, man. So let's go to Facebook, man, and see what some other people have said about their perspective on the black male.
So I'm gonna go ahead and do a little screen share since we are on Zoom. Y'all know how this works, so let me get y'all into this a bit and let's see what people were saying through our Facebook group here. So here we go. I'll just scroll us back up to the top. So we asked you all, what's your perspective on the black male, right? And so I see a lot here lost without history. I saw some stuff damaged, lacking self-esteem. But what was you had them to dig a little bit more, man, into why their answers were their answers. You want to lead us a little bit into this, bro?
Yeah, so this is what I think, man. A lot of times I think people have their reasons for why they give a certain answer.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people are not pushed past whatever that answer is. And I'm an analytical person. I'm very thought vocative, and I want to know if a person understands what they're saying and why they're saying what they're saying, and also where they get it from.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can hear it and we just take it and run with it. And sometimes it can be a subjective view. And I just want to see how objective we are, man, because again, we have some strongholds placed on us. And I agree, man, with the loss and without history, mentally ill, you damaged. And I asked the question, like, how do we get lost? You know what I'm saying? Where do we go wrong? What happens? And a lot of times, and I know you, Ms. Gunn, you gonna actually take us to as we go on throughout these shows, you're going to give us the history that we need. and so, my goal is a lot of times is to get the male not only to understand their history, but to really, really look at their present. Because some things are not attached to us, and some people use them as scapegoats.
Yeah, that's true.
Some people use them as scapegoats. So I really just like to really see where people's head is at, where the heart is at, and just to make sure they're confident in what they're saying. That's where my mind was at with it.
So I saw a lot of the talk of slavery being one of the biggest reasons of why the male is in the state that they're in today, or the black male is in the state that they're in today. I mean, there are a lot of things that we could talk about, from book breaking to separation of families. We could talk about how entertainment came to be when they were pitting us against each other. So I think a lot of that over time, or over the course of time, has really, really, really denigrated the male, or the black male, man. I think that throughout time, we as a family, or a black family, a black community, have tried time and time again to do what this American stands to say, to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. We build ourselves, our communities, and those communities get torn down, figuratively, bro, and literally, bro. When we talking about loans that are given out to black people and how those percentage rates look, bro. When we talking about not having access to resources and material when you came from the projects, and when no libraries or jails or any of those things in your hood, bro. So a lot of this came back from the token of slavery. Kev, what you got?
So, I was reading through the comments, and I found two that I wanted to highlight. And we talked about why, the black man is the way he is. And Alfred Harris said, he said for himself, he thought it was a lack of mentors. And when I think back, to my teenage years, I didn't have, any of the Greek mentors or any of the Mason mentors. It was just me. I had the guys in my church, but it wasn't like a substantial mentorship, right? And I think about how much further I could be along had I had a mentor in high school or middle school, as I got to college, somebody who was really able to guide me along the path of manhood, how my life would be different. And then even going on to Noble Andrew, I can't say the name Andrew, so don't fault me, my bad. But he said, too many black men are searching for validation. What makes us powerful is our intellect, our resilience, and the ability to adapt. He said, you are not broken as black men, you are healing every day. And he put like this acronym for LEO, to learn, adapt, and to evolve. And I think that's the kind of state that I'm in right now. I'm learning every day to adapt to the environment, but I'm evolving even out of that environment. Every day I'm learning and I'm growing. And if you get to a point where you're not growing, then you are stagnant, right? You're in the wrong place. If you can't be poured into, or you don't get that same kind of excitement, you're in a very dangerous place. And so I appreciate the fact that he said you have to learn, you have to adapt, but then you also have to evolve once you adapt. And so I think once the black men understand, even people feel like, oh, I'm powerless, my voice doesn't matter. Your voice does matter. Gunn talks about the influence that you have when your voice quakes. People are listening to you, right? Don't let the struggle of your life take away your voice. And you can take that any way you want to, but don't let the struggle of your life take away your voice. And I think some black men have gotten to that point where they feel like, hey, my opinion, my perspective, my thought doesn't matter, my voice doesn't matter, but it does. And people are waiting on you to quake your voice.
Yeah.
Let me ask y'all this. Why do y'all think black men need validity? Why do we search for validity? Validity.
Why do we search for it, bruh? Because we are put up against standards every day to say that our image, our walk of life is negative. So we look for that validity. You know what I mean? Like I'm walking around with two bachelors and a whole master's, bro. And every job experience that I have, every step I took on that pathway, bro, I'm trying to realize that I did that. You know what I mean? Black folks suffer from this gosh, what is it called, man? I can't even think of it. Right, this imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Even when we are the first in our family to do a lot of things when they come to college. We talking about even making bags, you know what I'm saying? A lot of our families they never seen six digits. You know what I mean? So a lot of us are doing that well. Um, but it don't seem like it's enough. You know what I mean? We don't get to celebrate the victory that we're in because we're on to the next thing to be great,
Mm-hmm.
to be, you know what I mean? Everything that this American dream say that we're supposed to be, bruh, that's what we're chasing. So I think the validity comes to being accepted by society. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, I mean, even as a what you would call a homosexual male, I remember being told that because I'm a homosexual, I would not aspire to the things that I've aspired to today. But for me, I had to prove them wrong. That's why I got two bachelors. One bachelor's, I don't know what the hell I got this bachelor's for, but I got it to show that I can do it just to, you know what I mean, be validated and show, all right, none of y'all in my family did this before, but I did this. Do y'all think that I'm worthy now? You know what I'm saying? Like, does this victory make it now? You know what I mean? Like, so I think it's just the implications of society, bro, and what they put on us. And not just society shit, the black community.
Right. You know, before I moved to Nebraska, I had never heard of imposter syndrome, and I love that you brought that up. Like, you know, here I am working on my career field, like making great gains, you know what I'm saying? But I'm always looking to go to the next thing, right? Like, I sit in meetings now, and it's almost like, you know, you have to be better. When I was a child, my grandmother always said that you have to be better. You have to be work twice as hard to get half of what they got, or something like
Yep.
that. And I think that's always stuck to me. You know, you talk about all your degrees and I look at jobs. Like, you know, I apply for jobs, and I was in an interview about 4.5 years ago before I came here, and the guy I was up against, you know, we had met before, which is pretty strange. And you know, I had my master's at that point for almost 4 years, and we're talking, we're joking. I had 5 years more experience. He didn't have any experience in the area, but he was like, you know, I'm looking to work, I'm looking to earn, and looking to learn in this process. No experience whatsoever, and passed me over, right? And I'm like, you know, that caused me to want to go even harder, whether it's, you know, publications now, or I'm doing presentations at national conferences. I'm always pushing myself harder. And I think we let our mind get the best of us, right? Like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I have to prove to these folks that, hey, I'm going to make it. You know, when I was in third grade, I had a white male teacher who talked about the school to prison pipeline, right? He's like, you know, well, as a black man, you know, your mom's a single parent, you're probably not going to be successful. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So I expect you to not to get out of high school barely, and you might get your GED. And that stuck with me until this very day. You know, I said what you told me was I was going to be a failure, and I was like, you know, I had to keep proving people wrong. Like, you know, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I got my associates, got my bachelor's, I got my master's. You know what I'm saying? I started my own business. I started my own scholarship program. You know, I have all these gifts and talents and skills. And so I went back last year to see that teacher. I was like, he's like, you know, did you end up getting your GED? And he's trying to be funny. And I was like, well, actually, you know, I have this and I have that. And it gave me some kind of reprieve. But then I was also like, you know, I got to go on for the next thing now. And
Mm-hmm.
you say you don't get a chance to rest in that victory. You don't, because you're always wanting to attain what, because society says, well, this is what they have. You know, are you going to get what they have? Or are you going to
Yep.
stay complacent?
Yep.
And complacency is a dangerous place. Like, your mind gets the best of you. Like, oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing the best I can. Like, when I got to Nebraska, I was in a state of like, oh my gosh, am I good enough? Like, you know, do I belong here? Do I deserve this? Now I know I got the education, I got the
Mm-hmm.
experience, I have the know-how, I have the personality. But I'm like, do I belong here? Do I deserve this? And that played me like my first 2 years here. And I think back, if I had a chance to change that, I would have told myself more, you know, hey, you deserve this. You're worthy of this. You
Mm-hmm.
got this, and you can do it. And I think a lot of black men are in that same space, right? They get stuck in being complacent, and they get stuck there, and they never get a chance to move out because there's nobody there saying, you know what, hey, you can do more than this. You can be more than this. You can go further. Look at all things you can accomplish. They get stuck in being complacent, which is a hindrance
Yeah.
to the rest of your life, you know?
Y'all saying some really incredible things, man. There are two things that I definitely wanted to point out as we get ready to shift over to, more specifically the black male and the homes and the black males at work. I want to make sure that we touch on those two things before we end the show. Welcome back to the perspective again. It's your boy Wiggles.
It's your boy Kev.
It's your boy Marcus Antonio.
And we want to know, what's your perspective? You got that song. So look, guys, all right, man, so many great points that you guys talked about earlier, man, and I want to go back to two key things. The one thing that it can either be interchangeable or I don't want to say misconstrued or just, put in different places, and validity and proven points. Because I think back on Marcus without going into any details at all, man. I remember over the course of years, man, as you were making those transitions from Atlanta to where you are now, man, you and I had some very personal and private conversations, man, about you getting to where you are. And what I believe a lot of times, because I know, I guess I'm guilty of it too, I have this thing, man, to where I'm like, yo, if you tell me I cannot do it or I will not do it, I will focus all of my energy and my effort into doing it. Not because I need your validity to tell me who I am. I am doing it just to prove to you who I am. And the crazy part is that I believe most, if not all men, know who they are. The validity comes in is when they're not comfortable with expressing who they are. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I gotta push back
Come on,
a little bit. I gotta push back a little bit, bro. I think that you get to a point to where you believe you know who you are, bro. I think that there are a lot of trials and errors that you got to go through before you really get the shit. Like, to be honest, at 34, I feel like I'm now getting the shit. Right. Opposed to being 15, opposed to being, 21, being 27, you know what I mean? Even 30. I think that there is a physiological and psychological change that you go through that be like, okay, you know what? I know who I am, and this is what I'm going to do to work towards it, to strive towards it. But I don't think you really know.
And that's why I said most, not all.
Okay, yeah, you did. You did. I apologize.
Well, no. But you're right though, because if you said some key points for ages. 15, you in high school, you feeling yourself, and you think you're getting it. You think you got it, and you getting it right. 21, you're well out of high school, and if you're on time, you should be close to graduating college.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, or whatever it is that you're doing, you should be at a pivotal point to where you in your career, you're working, or you're doing something, or a father, maybe you're married, and so that's another stage and element. So you mentioned 30s. By 30, most people, most males, by that time, most people thinking, okay, you got it together, you got the career, you got the house, you got the crib, you already know what it is that you're doing. And in a lot of cases, well, I don't want to say a lot, but in many cases, that's the same as a lot. In some cases, people have no idea, you know what I'm saying, of what it is. But I believe that's because if I go back to me saying, who is the black man? I said the foundation. And now here's my ministerial aspect. It talks about two types of building, right? You can build yourself on sand or some unstable ground, and then you build yourself on something solid, right? And so now I'm gonna take it out of that. And so if a male has a very solid foundation and upbringing, it's easier for that male to know who he is or have some sort of idea into which the path he'll walk. A guy with an unstable foundation, not so much. You're gonna be uncertain.
Come
on, Cam. What you got, Cam? What you got?
Listen. It's guys on stable foundation who are struggling. You know what I'm saying? So I don't always. I always look at the definition of stable and unstable, right? Like what is our definition of stable and unstable?
Okay.
It's stable, 2 parents. Unstable, I'm a single
parent. I was just about to say.
It's stable, you know what I'm saying? I have good male mentors and influences. I don't have any unstable. Like, what is our definition of stable and unstable, right? Because if you look at unstable and you say, okay, as a single parent household, you would say, okay, Kevin's unstable, right? And people would always say, you don't have a male, you don't have a father figure in your life, you're going to struggle. You're going to have, have all these difficulties because you don't have that man teaching you, right? And I think I'm pretty well accomplished without that father figure in my life, all right? So You have to look at the definition of stable and unstable.
And see, I come from a two-parent household where my mom was, she was getting the bag. You know what I mean? Like, she was the one making the money. She was the smart one. You know what I mean? We stayed with my stepdad, so my stepdad didn't really pour shit into us like that. It was Dolores who, if I look at all of the skill sets, the talents that I have, it was Dolores who cultivated, who, you know what I mean, who was very careful in curating how I, approach situations, approach solutions. That didn't come from my dad, but a lot of black men will say, because, my mom taught me it ain't valid,
All women, man. My mom, and I told y'all this, you know what I'm saying? My mom, my aunts, and 2 or 3 grandmothers, man. You know what I'm saying? I say 2 or 3 because I had my great-great-grandmother, my grandmother, my mom's side, my grandmother, my dad's side. So, but look, we'll talk more about this.
This a hot one, bro.
And instability, man, because I don't think it's about the number of people in the house with one parent, man. I think it's about being able to have that consistency and that continuity when it comes to direction.
Yes.
And when you miss consistency and continuity, a woman can give you continuity and consistency, you know what I'm saying? And then you can get connected to some people who have no continuity and no consistency. And so when you get to that 15, you can butt your mom, you know what I'm saying? You're butting the dose and you feeling that, and that's when it starts getting shaky. And then you go to college and those things, man. But let's go on to, man, the black male at work. The black male at work.
Mask.
The Japanese say that each person has 3 masks, right? The first mask is the one they show at work, okay? The second mask is the one they show to their family and their friends and their associates. And the third mask is the mask that's their truest self, okay? And they only see that in the mirror, right? And when I read it, I was like, you know what? We do.
That's good.
It's almost like you put on this persona when you get to work. Like when I get to work, it's like, oh, hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. My name's Kev. Good to be here this morning. I'm so excited to be with you guys. You know what I'm saying? Like it almost like I switch over. It's like when I walk through those corridors, it's like, boom, you have to put on for the put on, right? Because people are going to be intimidated by you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was in a meeting about 3 weeks ago, okay, and I have to watch my facial expressions because they will tell the whole story.
Yeah.
And we were talking about, and so I work in diversity and inclusion, right? But I was in a homecoming meeting and they were looking at different things, okay? Now, I mind you, there are 21 people in this committee. I'm the only black male, and then we have a black lady on the committee, right? And so this older Caucasian woman says, I have some things, and I thought about the Roaring 20s, okay? And she's like, well, in here in Nebraska, it was like we had a new stadium built, we got new majors, our first master's program, and she's like, we had the Harlem Renaissance. I said, let's stop right there. See, Nebraska wasn't the same for black people in 1920. Let's be clear about that. And she's like, and we have blackface. And I was like, instantly, I was like, they're like, what do you think about that? I said, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I said, Kevin, we'll roll it back in, okay? Because listen, you're going to come out real quick. But in that moment, I had to be as authentic as possible. I said, now, if I told you we were going to have, Nazi Germany here, you'd be offended. So for you to say, is blackface even an option? Is that okay? It's absolutely not. It's not okay. And for you to even say that, tell me you have no common sense, okay? You have no proof about yourself, okay? And your mom didn't teach you anything, right? And so at the meeting, they were like, Kevin, we've never seen you that aggressive. I was like, it wasn't aggressive. I was just helping you to understand, okay? We had to have a one-on-one, okay? I need to help you, And so it's a mask at work, right? And like when I get off at 5 o'clock, listen, that's probably the truest version of myself you're gonna get, okay? Like, I have students I can be, chop it up with, you know what I'm saying? When I'm in meetings and stuff, I have to put on for culture, right? I want to let you know, just because I'm a black male, okay, I got the same degrees you have. I probably have more experience than you have, and you're not going to shut me up or shut me down because you feel like, oh, I have this kind of privilege. I'm going to help you today, okay? Because I am
feeling this thing.
I was.
So you was gonna pause us at understanding. Go, Wiggle. So
at aggressive. Because this is what I found out in the work world, especially when you're working in an area, man, is either predominantly women or predominantly white.
Yeah.
They going you being either assertive or you being what's the word that I'm looking for, man? But they don't opinionate all of those things, man. They do not want you to be very direct. And that's the thing about the males, man. When you come to a place, man, if you remotely looking or seeming unsure of yourself and uncertain of yourself, man, then they like that junk. Like you need them and you got to come to them for questions. But with the minute you stand up for yourself and you know exactly what you're talking about, you just uppity Negro. You know what I'm saying? And you aggressive. Like, what's all of this talk back and this kickback? Like, what's up with that? Like, they automatically cower down.
You know, my experience, and I don't know, Kev, maybe you can relate to this. So moving out to Washington, is 6.73% African Americans here in Washington, the whole state. Most of us are congregated in the Tacoma area. Now, when I say that I got to this age, 30, 34, right, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna be who I wanna be. I think that I stopped wearing those masks and coming to Tacoma, and I think that there are several things that help me take off those masks, right? One, I'm a researcher, so I read a lot of shit. I read a lot of literature. So there was this one piece that I came through about language, right? Um, about not explaining the vernacular that I use. You know what I mean? So as an advisor working in the advising unit, students come through the door. I'm like, yo, what's good? What's happening? You know what I mean? I'm not changing my vernacular or my dialect um to make anyone else feel good ever again because I ain't from here. One, I don't owe nobody no loyalty in Washington. Two, you know what I mean? And my family, we secure. Three. So I stopped wearing these masks, bro. And in that DEI setting, I teach this presentation about social roles. And I'm this big proponent of if you aren't being socially charged, when you see homophobia, discrimination, you see misogyny happen, you know, in your personal life, at the grocery store, the bus station, if you're not saying, yo, that's not right, or calling the police, you're not being actionary, you're not being an advocate, you're not doing this shit on my campus. You know what I'm saying? So I look at those things in particular, and I refuse, bruh, not to be who I am. I am owning the shit. And I think that also comes with me going to counseling and owning all of the shit that I've done to work to get me to where I'm at. But those three masks, I have to agree with you on that piece that you read, Kev, because there was a point in time where I walked in and Shaw would call it my white voice. I think that since this pandemic, there's this little meme going around where I didn't know that I married circle back to this guy now that he's doing work at home. There are these masks, bro, but what we got to do is say, fuck these people, bro. Like, fuck these people, bro. Like, you have to be true to yourself, bro. These people gonna give these jobs to their brothers, their cousins, their uncles, their aunties, regardless of what it is that you got. And that goes back to why black folks got a very eclectic resume where we working a year and a half, 2 years, and then we switch it and then we swap it. It's because when it comes to work, bruh, shit ain't given to us. And even when we study and show ourselves to be approved, bruh, we ain't getting it. So fuck the
You better
mask,
throw the
bruh.
Bible in there.
It's so interesting you said that. Like when you talk about your vernacular, it is so interesting. Like I had this white advisor, Caucasian, excuse me, had a Caucasian advisor. She's like, I've been reaching out to this student for like the last 2 weeks, and they never respond. Maybe that you call them and they answer for you. I said because we have a relationship. Okay, there's a trust between us, right? Like when my kids walk in, I call my students my kids. When my kids walk in, what's up? How you doing? You know what I'm saying? It's a genuine ask. How are you doing? It's not that, oh, how are you doing? Not that I don't really care, but I have to ask for my job, right? You have to be able to build relationships, not just with your students or your families, your community. You have to build relationships, and they have to be genuine relationships, right? Like I think you get so much further when you have genuine networks, contacts, and relationships. And I think people they kind of miss that sometimes, they miss that genuineness.
For me, man, the black male at work, I had to do a writing, man. My soror, Amber Mitchell, she was doing this paper on men, I guess, black men in education, and I had to do it right. In a nutshell, basically, I'm saying that the black male becomes the enforcer.
Mm-hmm.
He's the work husband or the eye candy. He's the Mr. Fix It.
Oh.
He is. Then he's this scary person, man. Because depending on who it is, man, you can still tell. These other folks who only speak because they got to. You
What you
understand
just
what I'm
basically
saying?
said, bro, is that the black male in work is apt to being used.
Yep.
That's basically what it is when it
Hey,
comes to the workplace for black
look,
men. It's a token and it's the work mule.
yep.
Entertainment.
And that look, I'm telling you, and that's why I asked the question in the beginning: who is the black male, man? Because it even though it varies, it all comes down to the same thing, man. It's how people see us subjectively, and in turn, how we respond to how they see us. And
Mm-hmm.
when we're confident in who we are and ourselves, as Marcus was saying earlier about being in Washington and not knowing nobody, so you're gonna get me who I am. There was a story that you shared with us, man, that I definitely want you to share. You too, Kevin, as well. Y'all both share work stories that I think should be shared right before we go to our next commercial break. And Marcus, you talked about being in a meeting and you was doing your thing, and then the older black man told you to pipe down. Tell us about that as soon as we go.
Man, so this is something that I deal with in Washington that I don't want to use the words or terms getting used to, but I am noticing, right? I can tell the difference between black men who from Washington, black men who are from Washington who have been able to visit other states, other countries that were versed, and then from black men who ain't from here who transplant, right? There's a complete difference. I remember being in this meeting, bruh, and like you say, man, I'm presenting, I'm doing the damn thing. There's a disagreement between me and one of my female white coworkers. Now I haven't raised my voice. I'm from the South, so I kind of sort of talk loud anyway. I use yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, it don't matter who it is. So I'm using no ma'am, that's incorrect, and I'm direct in this approach because Washington is very passive when it comes to um, being honest and being transparent. You know what I mean? They're very passive. So, bruh, a black dude came to me after this meeting and told me that I scared this coworker that I should, and he literally said this blue bruh said that I should literally make myself small so I don't make her feel as if she is so I don't make her feel uncomfortable or make her feel
Absolutely not.
like and that's exactly what I was like. So does she feel like I'm gonna put my hands on her or something? Like is this, what is the point of me having to dumb down, simplify, what I mean, take away from who I am because she doesn't get the focus and the objective of this group. You know what I mean? So that's something that also happened that was, I guess, posted a day or two afterwards in our group. And I guess that's something we could talk about later when it comes to black men building each other up or even tearing each other down. You know what I mean? But that's some
Correct.
real shit here in Washington, bro.
Yeah. Kevin, man. So you had an incident as well. You talked about uh competition. You brought somebody on, and then all of a sudden he's your competitor. And you brought him in as a friend and a favor. Let's hear that.
And I'm looking like, sir, are you absolutely serious? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're friends at this point. I've known you for at least 17 years of my life. And here I am, I'm thinking I'm doing the kind Christian thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, once I get on, hey, I'm going to help build you a chair too. You come on too. I know you have this level and this area of expertise, right? And so I get there, and then here I go. Everything I do, you trying to one up me. And I'm thinking, like, you realize we're not in competition with each other, right? Like, we in two different departments, two different divisions. Like, there is no need for competition, right? You got your people, you got your projects, I got my projects over here. And I mean, it seemed like at every turn when I did something, when I won an award, when I got this notification for a conference presentation, he had to always come up, oh, and this is what I was doing. And I'm thinking, like, that's not necessary. Like, no, first off, no one cares, okay? And understand that I'm running this here, okay? I brought you on as a favor, right? But it blew me like, bro, like, you realize we're all in this thing together, okay? Like you black, I'm black, and they both look at us like we don't know no better, okay? So there's no need for competition. We're in this thing to make each other better, right? But you're not gonna downgrade me or downplay me, you know what I'm saying? And then want to come and try and chop on my face, you know what I'm saying? Like we have to have an understanding. Like we're both black men, right? Both very powerful in our own rights, both very educated and intelligent, very personable. But what you're not going to do is try and discredit my work because you know what I'm saying you're trying to get a one up on me.
Do you think that he was? Do you think he was aware of his actions?
Hands down.
Hands down.
I mean, because somebody was like, they always find you competing with Kevin. He was like, well, I mean, hey, it's a dog eat dog world. Listen, I will get you dog fired. Okay, I'm just saying. I don't understand the level of competition. It was unnecessary. It was unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? And that really bothered me. And I was like, I'm almost like, do I put somebody else on? You know what I'm saying? Like, we are not in competition.
I wonder how many other men, black men in particular, have these stories because I have another situation I'm gonna talk about real quick. Where I basically wrote a letter to president of my institution, the vice president, the dean herself, my director, basically saying that I don't trust this department. I don't feel comfortable. It's been 13 months, and now you all are having the first manager employee meeting to see what my skills are. Right. So I'm coming from all business, and what they were telling me was that, oh, you made her feel bad. And one thing I told them was, let me, as a black man, until I get to 15, 18, I don't get to feel. Everything has to be business related, and it has to be tied back to a metric. It has to be tied back to a goal. It has to be tied back to an objective. And what I don't have time is to placate to how she feels when we're talking about business. Is it business like to have worked for this company for 13 months and have not met the dean to audit what my skills, my talents are, and how I can be of assistance and to see what I need, what she needs from me in this department? No, that's business. When you took me out of this building and made me work in another building, you no longer made me feel safe because you allowed another coworker, a person of color, female, who identifies as a white woman. Okay, I'll throw that out there. Person of color who identifies as a white woman. She said she felt uncomfortable with me. Y'all moved me to another building, and ergo, y'all had circumvented my money, my bag, by dismantling specific tasks that I need to do. So I related everything back to business, bruh. But what happens is that we don't get to feel at work. So I wonder how many men get in these situations and they got to hold this shit in because they don't have really anyone else that they can talk about. And
they don't want to lose their bag.
About it.
That's the hard part. I mean, I've had a situation before, like where I had a coworker, and it's just like, how much are you gonna let this person get away with before you say something? I said, because then when I blow up, then it's a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, granted, I am very sarcastic. I think it's very humorous sarcasm. I try to add a little jokey joke to kind of soften the blow, but I'm being absolutely honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've had a coworker, I mean, everything I did came like, hey, Kevin, can we come talk to you real quick? Sure, what's up? Well, she felt like you didn't speak to her. Okay, I probably didn't. I mean, we're not that close, right? And so I don't understand why I always have to bow down to this person. And I'm very passionate. And sometimes I get a little loud when I get passionate. It's like, you're not going to continue to play the victim and then not expect for me to say something to you. Life does not work like that, okay? You had opportunities handed to you, you know what I'm saying, by the dozens, even when you're not qualified, okay? I've had to work for these, so I take things a little more seriously, and people, I think they tend to forget that, Sorry, Wiggles, go ahead.
Man, the perspective, and so now we're talking about the black male at home. Who wants to tackle this first, man? The black male at home. Who is the black male at home? We talked about the black male in general. Then we talked about the black male at work, and so now we're talking about the black man at home. We can talk about the black man everywhere, but now we're specifically talking about the black man at home, and the three of us have different situations, and so, but upbringing, if there was that, or just what you see, man, just let us know, man. What you got, Kev? You gonna knock it out first?
Well, I mean, right now, you said we all have different perspectives, and clearly my perspective is single, okay? So I can kind of do what I want in my household, right? I mean, if I don't want to, put the toilet seat down, I don't have to, right? I don't have to, like, pick up if I don't want to. I know y'all have different circumstances, and I am glad to be in that position right now. Like, I think about that all the time. Like, you know, if I had someone, like how my life would change. And I'm like, like I'm used to my routine. And it's like I had to change for somebody else. I don't know how I'm gonna do that. Y'all just keep praying, right? Um, but I think about how I look at the black man in the home, like growing up, right? My
Mm.
mom's her ex-husband, who's now deceased. I mean, that was not the example I aspired to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you had several different jobs. None of them were really profitable. But then my mom was like making the bag, you know what I'm saying? She was the more educated one. She kind of picked you up from the I mean, I hate to say the gutter, but she picked you up from the gutter, you know what I'm saying, raised your credit, you know what I'm saying, you got a business or two, and then you divorced her. And so, you know what I'm saying, I look at people who are, my people that I've seen in my life is like, I'm okay. You know, I took things from people, good things, I took positive things, you know what I'm saying? I took the positive thing, the relationship you have with your children, cool. Then I took the negative things, you know what I'm saying? You're not really, you know, you're not really clean, spiritually, mentally, you know, physically. How do you uphold yourself, right? Like if my mom was taking us to church every Sunday, you want to stay at home and chill. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like how does what they say? How can two walk together except they be agreed? And they weren't agreeing, right? It was more like a, you know what I'm saying? I just need to get married, and so let's go ahead and make this thing happen. But there was no, to me, I was looking like I don't desire to be like this. You know what I'm saying? Like why did you pick this person of all people? And I told him all the time, I said, if you get married again, he needs to have, you know, a very nice portfolio, okay? Because we are tired of putting folks back together like puzzle pieces, okay?
Okay.
And so I think the desire I have is to, you know, now watching them, I said, you know, hey, I want to raise my children like this. I want them to have this kind of upbringing. That I did take from you know, my mom's ex-husband. But some of the other things, I'm okay. We can leave that right there. But I love being single, at least for the time being, you know, until, you know, I have some children.
So I look at three instances of, I guess, the black male in the home. I gotta break it up into age group, right? Because my story is gonna be a little bit different. Y'all know I'm on the homosexual lifestyle. So for me, growing up, there was this mask of not being able to be myself, right? I was very smart, always been smart, always been like that chosen kid that you knew was gonna do something. You know what he was gonna do, but he was gonna do something. Um, so I couldn't really be my full authentic self as a kid. Now I was homeless from 11th grade year to 12th grade year, so they put me in other people's houses. So once again, I couldn't really be myself. You know what I mean? Because I come from a Christian background, so we weren't having this man on man, or even though for straight people, bisexual is going to be the closest definition that I could give you when it comes to being pansexual. But even when it came to, yeah, dudes know women, yes, we love to see you. It was all a facade, right? So I look at it in those two, and then I look at now I am a pansexual male who is married to a male where we have no, I want to say that we don't have social roles in this house. You know what I mean? But I take out the trash. My partner ensures that, you know what I mean, everything is taken care of. I make the bag. I make sure there's money in the account. He has access to money whenever he needs it. You know what I mean? Our names are on all of our accounts that we share together. You know what I mean? So I guess we do have some roles, but it just comes from working and mingling together. So for me, home, the black male at home at this state, I'm safe. I'm secure. You know what I mean? I'm grounded. I'm fortified. You know what I mean? I'm free to practice my spirituality here. I'm free to let down all of my burdens in this house with my partner, and not be judged. You know what I'm saying? So this state today, black male in the house, it might be different for other people, but for me, man, I'm straight right now as a black male in the home.
Okay, so for me, I am the head of the household. I get the bag, as I've been saying. I get the bag, but I'm also a stepfather. And what I've experienced in some instances as well, uh, the voice is used when needed and necessary, as in be the parent when I can't get these kids to do what I need them to do. make these phone calls so that I won't either snap and don't get what it is that I want and that I need. But again, it goes back to what I said earlier about that foundation, man. So, I mean, I definitely I definitely set the tone. If I'm in a great mood, man, for the most part, everybody's in a great mood. If I'm in a horrible mood, then everybody's probably in a horrible mood, or they separate themselves. Sometimes I sit there and I wonder how much more fun my family has away from me, as I'm sure they wonder how much more fun I have away from them. And sometimes I sit and just listen. I'm downstairs and they're upstairs, and I hear the laughing and the giggling. And then when I come upstairs, it's like, how is Daddy coming upstairs? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But even now, currently, man, like I mean, just this instance, man, like my 17-year-old daughter and 14-year-old son, you know, and my wife, you know, everybody upstairs in that room, man, and it's well after 8 o'clock, and they're like, "Yo, Daddy, you cooking?"
Do what now?
And so it goes back to something that Marcus stated earlier about work when we were talking about it's just like the black male, it's just good for use. Like you get used, man, and I think that's the thing now, man. Like when kids call their dad's not at home, and they living with somebody else, living by themselves, they call their daddy what? When they need something, when they want something. You know what I'm saying? The women in the house, when they can't handle something, they calling on the man. And a lot of times, some women, they might want to do things, with you. And if they do somebody themselves, like, we do with an attitude because they want to do it for the whole time. And most men, I think we be so probably mentally drained and stressed out over so many different things going on. We be like, all right, I'm going to do this in a minute. And we just sit there on the couch. And people be like, well, how you can be on your phone when you be doing this, that, and third? And really, I don't even think we even care about what's on our phone and what's happening on our phone. That's just something to get our mind. Yeah, it's something to get our mind off of whatever else it is that we're thinking about, man. So, again, man, it goes back to my initial answer from the beginning of the show, man. The black male is the foundation. We're the influencer. You know what I'm saying? All of those things, man. But in 2020, though, in 2020 at home, man, the black male is a new boy.
I guess my perspective is in the same-sex relationship is a little different because I think because my partner is a man and he also deals with the same societal issues, that when we come into this house and I need my space, I can get my space. There's not a challenge to my space. He understands that that's what I need to be fortified. You know what I mean?
Right.
And at the same time, there's a delicacy that he also provides when it comes to ensuring that I eat, making sure, that there's toilet tissue in his house. You know what I mean? Making sure that my clothing are washed and folded, hung, and put up. You know what I mean? But I think that for the same sex relationship, it's a little bit different because we both identify that there is a tug and pull that society has on us. So I'm fortunate to, I guess, be in a situation to where I guess I could say that me and this dude is equally yoked. You know what I'm saying? Because it works. We coming up on, 8 years now? You know what I mean? In 2020, yeah, this is 8 years now. So that looks a little bit different for me. I don't get used. You know what I mean? I'm asked to, hey, babe, could you do, you know what I mean? Hey, babe, I need your assistance with this. And it's a different tone. It's a different delicacy that I get that is, I guess, a little bit different than I guess we'll find in a heterosexual relationship where I am the alpha in this house or the head of this house. I think that for you, there's a little bit more pool wiggles um, that happens to you because of the type of relationship. Does that make sense?
Right. No. It does, man. And I do get that. I get the ask, man, especially when it comes to college work. You get the ask, but that was a good perspective, though, man, from what you just said. And so, some of the good perspectives, man. And again, I think that's should be put out, man. But look, guys, man, we thank y'all so much for tuning in, man. Any last thoughts? Any last thoughts we have? Anything before we go? Mine is ways, man. Do somebody good, somebody do you good. Keep you first, never last. That's me.
Well, listen, don't forget to follow your boy on Instagram at The Entertainer, TheEentertainer, all one word, The Entertainer. Also on Snapchat at KReese937, the international celebrity. Look for me just like this, hair down, like, oh, okay, he got it. I'm also on YouTube. I'm a line dancer, I'm an actor, I'm a voiceover. I do a whole bunch of stuff. So make sure you follow your boy. And let's have a good time together. Okay? Oh, okay.
Okay. This is your boy Marcus Antonio. You can follow me on Twitter at spitting_gun5. It's PHI. You can also find me at Instagram at the_sniper_. And remember, make every day the best day you can. Can't nobody control your day but you.
And so I want to leave you all with a thought for the week. Okay? Keep this on the forefront of your mind. Thought for the week. Be careful how you blindly follow the masses, because sometimes the M is silent.
Hmm. And that's been the perspective, guys. Thank y'all for coming out
We'll
and
see you
chilling with us
later.
today.
Peace.